Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. Mike Vrabel press conference at 12:15. We'll catch up with Hot Mike's Jonathan Hutton before that at noon at the top of the hour. But there you go. You heard it. 18 seconds of overtime. The Predators take it 3-2 over the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, I don't know what coach cliche is most apropos here. Is it survive in advance? It wasn't pretty, but it was beautiful. All of the above, I think.
You play to the whistle.
Play to the whistle.
Play 4 quarters and more. Well, 3 periods and more.
You're not always going to play
Exactly.
your best, but you got to find ways to win. I think those all could kind of apply to the Predators' win last night over the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that last shot, he's just having a hell of a season.
Yeah,
Phillip
he is.
And I know I asked you as well as Elliot, is this the best, stretch of season he's had in his career? I'm convinced that it may end up being the best season of his career, and he's just fitting well into the system. It seems like he's figured it out, and he's playing the game, the way that I think he's wanted to play it. And it's just amazing to watch, man. This is special what's going on with him.
Yeah, I think it may be a little recency bias, but I do think this is the best that I've seen him play all around, especially given where the team is and how much they need him to score and be consistent. I think he's just enjoying himself. I think he loves the way they play. I think he loves the guys he's playing with, 2 new teammates, Ryan O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist, and it's really working well for him right now. So that was a big moment, and that was a tough game. The Predators. I can tell you that I am drained physically and mentally right now. 14 games in 25 days.
Oh, wow.
It wears on me.
Yeah.
So you think about the physical toll that those games take, and they haven't had practices. They've just been going
at 2 weeks.
They've
Over
hardly
2 weeks?
practiced. Yeah, what they have done is basically say, all right, we're going to play, and then we're going to take the day off. And then we'll come back the next day for game day, and we'll have our morning skate and use that to be whatever you want to call it. It's not really a walkthrough because they break a sweat. They go in the morning, but that's where they work on the little things that they can. But that's not like a practice.
That's really the only way that you can – it's
Yeah.
sustainable, that this kind of season is sustainable.
Yeah. And so back-to-back days off for the first time in 25 days, I think this is well-earned. They'll take the day off today, but they actually tomorrow can get on the ice and have a real practice. So I don't think they had their full energy level last night, and you got Philadelphia, who's a real upstart team. I don't know how they're doing it exactly, but watching them last night, I was really impressed with the way they came at it. That was a team that was expected to be a lottery team before the season started. And they basically told their fans, "Look, we're on a reset here. We're starting over." But they've, to their credit, played great hockey, and that was a battle last night, big time. And Philadelphia came from behind for a while. It looked like they were just going to blow right by the Predators, but to their credit, the Predators, after giving up the lead, like they have recently in a lot of games here, they hung in there. They started playing better down the stretch, and they found a way to win in overtime. So 11-3 out of the last 14 games. They have really turned this thing around since being 5-10. We were all kind of going, I don't know. Well, I thought they might be better, but look at the future. Now it's like, hey, look around the league. They're in the wild card slot right now. And you look at how they compare to some of the other teams, and it's doable, I think, right now for possible postseason. And I don't know if I would have gone out and said that before the season started, but hey, this is where they are.
If the season ended today, the Predators will be a wild card team.
Number 1 wild card team.
Number 1 wild card team. Is the difference as simple as the goalie? Because UC Saros has been playing absolutely lights out. Lights out. And he's taken a lot of shots. He's blocked, 73 of the last 76 shots in the last 2 games. And Andrew Burnett was asked about the performance of UC Saros, not just last night, but really on this long stretch where UC Saros, we're not too far removed from us talking about, hey, what's going on with UC Soros?
Right.
What's the problem? What's the issue? He's not playing very well. Now he's back to Superman UC Soros. So Andrew Burnett was asked last night about his performance, what that means for this team. This was Andrew Burnett.
It's been outstanding. Kind of feel bad. Obviously in the coaching part, we're not too proud of the amount of shots we're giving up. But individually for him, outstanding, kind of as expected, as advertised. I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable in the way we play a little bit. And, I think in front of him, besides the odd man rushes, I thought we were okay.
And in another quote there, he says, I kind of feel bad as a coach because we're giving up so many shots, but he's blocking everything in his way. So we talk about where the Preds were, 5-10. We're all kind of thinking, hey, maybe this year's going to be a little bit more difficult than we anticipated. Now look at them, first wild card spot if the season ended today. Is the difference UC Soros?
I think the goalie always makes a big difference. There's no question. And when they were 5-10, I think I knew there was something better, and I had all kinds of confidence that UC Soros, and I was saying at the time, UC Soros will be fine. But he was in a slump. He missed. They lost 5 in a row. And what you heard from Andrew Burnett, and we had a long discussion on the show that I thought was really good. We had Chris Mason involved about some of the things that were happening. Pucks going off of their own player, screens and tips and things that just were a little bit bad luck, but also what they could do to improve it. And that's what I hear Andrew Burnett talking about these last couple of games is they've allowed UC Soros to see the puck, and when he can see it, there's nobody better, right? He's as good as anybody in the league when you allow him to play the way he's capable. See the shot. And so it's easier said than done. It sounds easy. Just let him see the shot. But sometimes when you're trying to defend, you're the defender, you want to block the shot. But when you try to block the shot sometimes, if you're not in the right position, you end up screening him, and you miss it, and it goes off of you or it goes by him because he can't see the puck. And I think they've worked on a lot of details in their structure. When the puck goes here, here's our position, and here's where we want our defensive players to play, and here's where we want. And one of the things, as simple as I can put it, is they've set their defense up a little further away from the goal. They were getting kind of pushed in close to Soros in the blue ice where it was crowded. One of the things that makes UC Soros great, he's not tall, right? He doesn't take up a ton of space, but he is lightning quick from side to side. So if you allow him that space to slide around, he's as good as anybody at covering that ground. So I think that's what they've really tried to work on in a general sense, and now it's kicked in.
Well, this may be sort of, a weird question or a dumb question in a sense, but how do you – I'm sure there's not a rule of how many people you can kind of crowd the goalie, but how do you – what is the strategy behind not allowing too many guys to get in front of the goalie and crowd them?
Yeah,
because it's got to be
question.
difficult. Yeah,
it's a great question. It's one that I still, after watching all these years of hockey, I like in basketball. I understand the concepts a lot more
because
hockey,
there's illegal defense in basketball. So you
3 seconds,
3 seconds,
right?
Yeah.
And so some of it depends on how the other team wants to play, how many people they want to set up in front of the goalie, but. I think I try to equate it back to basketball for me. Sometimes it helps me understand. So if you're posting up in basketball, right, I got 2 choices if I'm guarding you. Am I going to front you, right, and make them lob over the top, or am I going to play behind you and try to position myself there? I think that's what they've talked about is, sometimes when a guy's standing there, is it better to play in front of the guy as opposed to behind the guy? And little things like that also allow you, when you get the puck, to then transition to offense. It's one thing to defend well, but if you never get the puck and move on to offense, all you're doing is playing defense the whole night, and eventually they're going to score. So this is all weaved together, and Andrew Burnett kept talking about it in the first few weeks. We're still learning. We're still learning the new system. Guys are still getting used to it, and you're seeing what he's talking about now, and they're starting to get it as a group. And, this happens with a lot of different teams, and that will be the next stage, is to stay consistent with it over time because there's still a ton of hockey to be played. But they're making gains, I think, as a group. They're buying in, and they're all working on those details, and you're now seeing it in their most valuable player playing at the top of his game.
And I think one thing that I underestimated, and that's on me, we talked about the style of play if it takes time. I thought about the skaters, how it's going to take time for the skaters. What we heard from Andrew Burnett there in that clip was it's also taking UC Saros some time to get used to this new style of play.
Absolutely.
Which is something that I completely underestimated when we were talking about, hey, what in the world's going on with the goalie? And he does have a track record of being a little bit of a slow starter. But Andrew Burnett saying that was such a realization for me of course he needs time to get used to the style of play. It's not just different for everyone else, it's different for him too. Let's not act like UC Saros is just sitting back in the net and just stopping everything that comes his way. There's so much more strategy involved in it for him too.
Yeah,
Getting acclimated to what's going on in front of him.
Hockey is so fast. It seems so simple in a lot of ways. It's a simple game, but it's also there's all these complexities that are hard to see unless you've played and practiced and been on there. But I heard D-Mase saying it, right? When we had that long discussion, why has he lost 5 in a row? Why is his save percentage in the 8s, which you never see UC Saros' save percentage in the 8s very much. But he was talking about the patterns, right? A goalie picks up on the patterns. How does our team defend? Where are the shots going to come from the way we're defending? And there was definitely an adjustment period there. So, look, knock on wood, hopefully that continues to grow, and Saros continues to play at the level that he's been playing at. Everybody's going to be a little bit hot and cold. Last night he made a couple saves where I was like, I don't know how he did that. That was a goal. I had it in my mind a half second before the save. I was like, they're on the board, Flyers goal, and then it wasn't. Like it was in, but then it wasn't, just because Saros can do that for you. And then the team got it going there in time in the third period to take a little bit of pressure off them and get it to overtime, and then Forsberg did it from there.
And I think there are a few different difference makers. Individual players, overall kind of philosophies. The first difference maker, obviously, is UC Saros. The way that he's playing, the way that there can just be so many pucks flying around his way, and it never really seems to faze him. The second individual difference maker, it has to be Filip Forsberg. D-Mase, you mentioned it earlier. He's probably playing close to the best hockey of his career. And I'll be completely honest. Whenever Filip Forsberg was signed to that big contract, and it's not just Filip Forsberg, it's really with any player that's signed to a big contract, the question has to be begged. All right, how much is there going to be a little bit of sitting back and resting on your laurels a little bit of kicking up the feet and saying, all right, I got my big contract, I'm good to go. And I think there's kind of a natural feeling of that involved in any sport with any player, not just Filip Forsberg, but Filip Forsberg being a player that does have a tendency to have kind of a hot and cold streak, that he can get to the highest of highs and kind of the lowest of lows. I was concerned about what Filip Forsberg post-contract, post-new big contract looked like. And Filip Forsberg is earning every cent of that contract, at least through the first stretch of the season here.
I cannot agree more. When Barry Trotz did his evaluation, which I think looking back on it, I think that was really smart how they did it in the final couple months of last year, because I guess in theory they could have kept it quiet, or they could have just put it off until the end of the year and then announced that Barry Trotz was taking over. But the transitional period where David Poile is still on, Barry Trotz learned sort of first behind the scenes before anybody knew for a couple weeks there, and then when they announced it, just to get acclimated and learn about the players, learn who's in the minor league system, what do they need. And he had those relationships already set. But I think that time was very valuable for Barry Trotz to understand, okay, here's who are the foundation players for the Predators, and then here are the players that I think it's time to turn over, and here are the young players we got to find out more about. But he really has decided, he said it right after the year was over, UC Saros, Roman Josi, Filip Forsberg, those are the pillars, right? That's where we're starting. superstars that I can build around. And then he made the decisions from there. And fortunately, Philip Forsberg, he was playing well, but he wasn't getting the big results after 10 games or so. Roman Josi was the same way, right? We were talking about with the new system. Took him a while to acclimate. But now all three of those guys, I think, are really locked in and starting to play like superstars play. And that's huge. Everything else is falling into place from there.
Yeah, which is good because they got, it's such a good mixture of, veteran guys. I'm not going to say older guys, but veteran guys, and then the youth within this organization. So guys are starting to figure it out. I think I'm not going to say it's easier possibly for coach, but I think it is in a sense of, you don't have to come in every day and rehash things that guys are not, picking up on. But it seems like guys are picking up on the system. They're enjoying the system. There's fruits of their labor, in wins, 11-2 over the last couple of weeks. And, you just hope that this continues. What I am kind of sort of worried about is, again, UC having to take so many shots on goal. He's done a great job over the last couple of weeks, but as you start to get further and further in the season, guys start to get...
I just stabbed myself with the microphone.
Okay. Guys start to get a little tired or whatnot. Their bodies get beat up. How then would that affect them? I think he's going to have to, eventually even raise his game a little bit more because of that.
This is another thing that is something that's on people's mind when you have a game where you give up 40 shots. I guess somewhere in there they took one away. It seems like this is happening more. And somebody told me this the other day, and I never thought about it until he said it. He goes, when you have all these prop bets now on the gambling sites, it is very precise of you take over under 38 and a half shots or something like that. So they got to make sure they get it right. It happens so fast, like the puck gets thrown into the crease. Remember last night? I've never seen it. There were like 4 sticks that ended up in this big pile in front of the goalie. That was insane. But I don't know how many shots took place there.
And there's so many things that you can't see. Like you physically cannot see.
So it goes up on the scoreboard because at first they got to put something up there. They're like, okay, I think there were 3 shots. And then they go back and look at it. Well, only 2 of them actually got on net. One of them went wide, something like that. So it kept resetting. It's crazy during the game because we're telling you, wow, they've got 40 shots. And the next day, well, there's 39 shots.
36,
yeah. They took one away. Well, they added another one. So that's what it goes with. But there are shots, but the big thing, too, is the quality of the shot. Okay. And so so a lot of shots, that means you don't have the puck as much as you want to have it. And what does Andrew Burnett always say? We want the puck.
Yeah. You want to get it.
Yep. And so they want to play offensively and not give up that many shots. But if you're going to give up shots, what's the quality of the shots you're giving up? That's something that goes with it. And you're right. You're not going to be able to shut people down every night. When you have trouble, that's when the goalie hopefully can pick you up if you have a great one. But in the big picture, you do want to cut down on the quality. And last night you heard Andrew Burnett. The big issue was, and this is what the Flyers do really well, they counterattack and they get the odd man rushes. Everybody said last night, watch out. The Flyers are number 1 in the league at odd man rushes. We're like, okay. I hadn't seen the Flyers play.
Yeah.
13-2 odd man rushes at even strength. That doesn't even count the power play but so they must have had 15 or 16.
And this was something that I asked myself several times throughout the game last night because I haven't watched any Philadelphia Flyer hockey, and I don't think very many people in this town have either. I kept asking myself, is this team good? I can't quite tell.
They've overachieved, and that'll be a really interesting thing to see if they can sustain, because they have a great goalie that we didn't see last night, Carter Hart. They went with the backup who had played. He'd won 4 starts in a row, and he played pretty well last night. But they've got a goalie that can steal you some games, and they've got a young team. So I don't know. Like, everybody's just they are in the playoff mix in the East, which is totally unexpected. Mm-hmm. They've got a great coach.
Is that more to do with them, or is that more to do with the East?
A
little bit of both.
That's hard to know because, we don't watch the East as much.
Right.
But that's becoming a story because the Flyers were supposed to be the team that's selling everybody off. Right? They're okay. Yeah, we'll play with these guys. people will call us, we'll get some more draft picks, we'll get a high pick, and we'll keep building the roster. But now it's like, well, we're winning. What do we do?
Right.
Keep winning.
Just keep winning.
It's not really
Keep
supposed to be
I mean,
winning,
we
but we're
can't do
winning.
anything about it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There was a great quote from Carter Hart, their goalie. He said, I don't think anybody even really wants us to win, but we just keep winning.
That's like, I heard so many Titans fans. We'll get into this later, but I heard so many Titans fans after the Miami game thinking, dang it. There goes our draft stock. I'm like,
Right.
what? You just won a game.
That's so hard.
You don't do a whole lot of winning these days.
Because I
so
see the
enjoy
point,
the
but
wins.
yeah, that's right. You always take a win. You always take a win.
The draft stock, or the draft pick rather, is the cherry on top of losing. It's what you try to make yourself feel better about
Yes.
losing games. When you win
At
games,
least we
you're
can
gonna
get a
take the
great
win.
player,
At least,
potentially.
yeah, at least we're gonna draft 5th instead of 6th. Woo! But good win for the Predators last night. And I feel more and more encouraged about what this team, or really more so what this team can do. I mentioned there are a few difference makers, at least in my opinion. Individual difference makers, it's the goalie. I mean, UC Saros is playing absolutely lights out. He's playing like the UC Saros that we know. Philip Forsberg, playing probably some of the best hockey of his career. But there are two other aspects of this team, not necessarily individuals, but just kind of the team philosophy that I think are massive difference makers. And that's what I want to get into coming up next. We'll chat with Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow at the top of the hour. I want to get his takeaways, what he saw from Will Levis and the Titans on Monday night. We'll hear from Mike Vrabel at 12:15, Will Levis at 12:30. We'll carry all of those press conferences live and in their entirety. Difference makers, in my opinion. We'll get into that coming up next. And, of course, your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Hey, time to tell you about Loan Pronto, and they've got some great news for homeowners. You've been hearing me say about things about the new year and getting your finances in order, and one of the ways they help you is with the Express Equity Line of Credit, the HELOC, if you will, and you can keep your primary mortgage rate intact. But also, they want you to know that if you have not been paying attention, interest rates have plunged here recently. They were gone up to the nosebleed section for a while, and that is changing. So right now, Loan Pronto can rescue you from, if you are in a situation where you get that 7 or 8% rate you got stuck with, they can save you money. So if you bought or refinanced your home with a rate over 7%, now's the time to refinance and save money. You can do it month after month and save that extra money. Even if you did it last month, call Loan Pronto because they might be able to save you right now. The Equity Express loans have also come down as well, and so it's a great time to get some cash out of your home and get yourself on solid footing for the new year. So to do this, all you've got to do is make a phone call. They can help you with all the details, and they can get this done in a hurry. They're really good at that. 615-499-5780 to get started. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
thoughts tonight?
Well, I thought it was gutsy. I think coming back from the back-to-back and long travel and the amount of games we had in this period of time, I knew it was going to be a really hard game. They're an extremely hard-working team, and I think it wasn't our best, but I'm proud of the way that we gutted it out. We hung in there a little bit when things weren't going as good as we'd like them to go. We settled it down when it went 2-2, and I thought we started taking over the game a little bit. So that shows a little maturity of the group. Obviously, you don't want to give up the lead, but we kind of got mad. I was hoping to get mad a little earlier, but we just had enough in the tank, and Juice gave us a chance to win, and Phil does what Phil does.
That was Andrew Brunette post-game last night. Predators take care of business against the Philadelphia Flyers 3-2 last night. And there was one thing that was pretty telling to me there from Andrew Brunette. Things that make me feel encouraged about this team, excited about what this team could potentially do in the postseason. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Okay, it's December. There's a lot of hockey that's left to be played, and we have to keep the preseason expectations in mind. But with that being said, one thing that Andrew Brunette said there that really stood out to me is he said, we didn't play our best hockey. And they didn't. That was obvious last night. That was clear last night. That there were times that it was like, ooh, you just got to squeak by.
The second period in particular, it was like, wow, they're on the ropes. They're ahead 2-0, but it doesn't seem like they're ahead 2-0.
It doesn't feel like it. And when the Flyers tied it in the third period, I thought I could just hang on. Just hang on and try to get it to overtime. That's an encouraging sign to me, that you can play not your best hockey and you can still find ways to win games. And I think the other thing that makes me feel encouraged, and I want to get into your phones, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. I think last night was kind of a microcosm for this team and how they've been successful all year long. I mean, you had Michael McCarron with a goal last night. You had a lot of production from the fourth line last night. But you also had Philip Forsberg and your superstars giving you production. Philip Forsberg was the one that ended it in overtime. That you're getting production from the top of the lineup all the way down through the lineup. And I think that you need both for sustainable wins, to beat good teams, to win games that you might not play your best hockey. You need production from the top to the bottom of the lineup. And that is exactly what the Predators got last night. And it's really what they've been getting through this stretch of the last 14 games where they've won 11 of them.
Yeah, I think if you look at the 11-3 stretch, who has chipped in with some timely goals? Guys
Yakov
like
Trenin.
Trenin is one, no question. Colton Sissons for sure. McCarron last night, he's having a really nice impact. He's only played 19 games, but they've won 13 out of the 19, and he's never going to score a lot, but he's had a couple of big goals. Last night was
with an assist
was a
from
big
Cole
one.
Smith.
Cole Smith is another guy
Not
that's
on my
been
bingo
chipping
card.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's chipping in. Now, for them to get enough overtime, those guys at the bottom of the lineup are going to rise and fall some. You want them to get timely goals. They need to make a contribution. Like, remember last year, everybody kept saying from the top, the coaches and everything, look, Cole Smith is doing a lot of good things out there. But the others who were detractors saying, well, but he's not scoring at all. Like, he literally had 0 goals for like 40 games, right? It was like, wow, why would you keep playing this guy? The coach was like, I'm telling you, he's killing penalties, he's winning battles, he's playing winning hockey. But there's a balance there. So now Cole Smith is doing what a guy like that ideally will do. He is chipping in offensively some. Like, he's on pace for 25 or 30 points. He's not going to play on the power play, so all of this is coming at even strength. So that's a good sign for him that he's taking another step forward. Now, where are they missing? Where are they going to need it to sustain it? They need to get Tommy Novak back into his game. Like, since he's come back, he hasn't scored. He's still finding the traction that it takes when you're coming back from an injury that has you out for 4 weeks or whatever it was, or close to it. Cody Glass is another guy that still, I think, potentially can really help offensively. And I still think guys like Evangelista and Tomasino, those guys have the skill to score more. And so they're going to need those guys as they go forward. Because you can't just lean on the bottom six to score and the top guys to score. Everybody's got to come in there. So there's going to be some ebb and flow to where you get the offense from. But hopefully there's enough there that you'll get it over time as one guy gets cold, another guy heats up, and you get that consistency you're looking for.
And that's kind of the idea of you don't just have that one guy that's doing everything, and if that guy's not has an off night, then you are just completely sunk. Now, I would say that Philip Forsberg is probably the closest to that because Philip Forsberg has probably been your most reliable scorer through this point. But if there's a night that Ryan O'Reilly necessarily doesn't show up in the stat sheet, you got Michael McCarron that can show up. You got Yakov Trenin that can show up in clutch moments. Those guys aren't Ryan O'Reilly, but you have guys that can produce that aren't necessarily the focal point of this system or of this team. But I want to get into your thoughts or takeaways from the Preds game last night. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Bicycle Boy is on the line. What's up, Bicycle Boy?
Good morning, gang. Nice to hear Predators talk this morning. Will, I hope our friend wasn't too hard on you this morning. I got two questions. First one's easy. The goalie's stick. When the goalie drops a stick, can a player not pick up the stick and hand it back to the goalie or knock it over to the goalie? And then here's the second question. This is pretty outside the box, but I often see Roman Josi skating around out there, and he's got this strap or something hanging down, and it's flying around as he's skating. I grew up playing hockey all the way through college. I don't know what that is. Do you have any idea, Will? But and let's go back to the goalie stick first.
The goalie stick, that has happened. In fact, last night, UC Saros made a save in the middle of a chaotic stretch without his stick because they couldn't get it back to him. You can go get your own stick, of course, when you lose it. I believe the rule is you can go and pick up a teammate's stick, carry it over to them. You can do that. You can't shoot it across the ice, and try to literally pass the stick rather than pass the puck. You can't do that. So there are some things, and it's a tricky thing. Anytime the goalie doesn't have the stick, there's kind of a protocol that you go through because the game's so fast. Sometimes you just have to keep going without the stick as long as you can. But that did happen a few times last night. So it's crazy. And as far as the strap for Roman Josi, I don't know. I'll have to ask and find out. These are the kind of things I know a lot of hockey fans pick up on that they want to know the answer, and I don't know the answer. That's a good one.
Thank you for your call, Bicycle
Maybe Kara
Boy.
Hammer will have to investigate and come up with a report on Saturday in our next broadcast.
Kara, if you're listening,
Yeah.
thank you, Bicycle, for your call. Kara, if you're listening, we would like some investigative reporting.
Or maybe a
done
fan
here.
knows and can answer that question. Some people, they find out the answers to these things. That's good stuff.
Call in if you know the
Yeah.
answer. My question for you, Willy, because I don't know the answer to this, and maybe you don't know the answer either. Maybe nobody knows the answer. The kind of production that the Predators are getting from the guys that you don't really want to have to rely on, the Yakov Trenins, the Cole Smiths, the Michael McCarrons, is that a system thing that's designed to bring out the best in maybe the third and fourth lines, or is that the coaching where now the best is brought out in the individual player?
That's a really good question. I would say that I think from a coaching standpoint, a system standpoint, what you're hoping for is as a team, I think guys are going to run hot and cold during the season. But the good teams that are overachieving, like the Flyers would be one, you get everybody that's contributing. Like it seemed like last year when things weren't going well, the Trennins, the Sissons, you just seems like you weren't getting anything from the bottom two lines. And I think there was a stretch when they were 5-10 that it seemed like the bottom lines just weren't finding a way to chip in a goal here and there. I think that kind of happens sometimes. And when a team is feeling it, they're confident, and they're playing the system, it seems like you just have that feeling that somebody's going to make a play. Somebody's going to come up with a good play when you need it. There, I don't know if that answers the question, but I think it's a feeling that you get it can vanish, right? There's some other teams like the St. Louis Blues. They fired their coach last night, won the Stanley Cup not long ago. Craig Berube, good coach, but they can't find any answers. These things aren't happening. They're not finding ways to win. They can't keep the puck out of their own net. They're going to try to shake it up. The Oilers were in the absolute gutter not that long ago. Now they've won, 10 in a row?
Inexplicably so.
Yeah.
It's fluid. Okay, it's fluid.
It's fluid.
It's fluid.
Yeah.
Everything
The
is fluid.
first 15 to 20 games of the season, they're a fallacy. Throw them out. They don't count.
Teams are getting used to one another still, especially teams like the Predators, who new coach, new GM, new players, few new players, guys in different roles, new system, guys trying to figure out the system. So it's going to take them a little bit longer to sort of acclimate themselves to what's going on. But I will answer your question just from a basic sports, sort of platform. The coaches, I think it's both. I think it's three things. It's the coach, it's the system, and it's the actual player. When a new coach come in, you identify who your playmakers are, who your leaders are, who your playmakers are. And you know that, hey, listen, I don't need to change much with these guys. These guys, I know what they can do. I've seen it. I played against them, coached against them. I know what they can do. So I just need to explain to them, buy into what I'm saying.
Right.
And so the other younger guys can buy into it too. But then it's, okay, I need to put the younger guys or the guys that are out on the first line in a position to succeed. How do I put them in a position to succeed? Do I ask them to do more? Maybe I don't. Maybe I ask them to do a little bit less, have a little bit less ice time, so that then they can maximize. That's like putting in an edge rusher. A guy that ends up with 10 sacks at the end of the season, but he only plays, if you average it out, he may only play 5 minutes a game. But I know in that 5 minutes, I'm going to get the best player possible. I can't play him no more, can't play him no less. I play him 5 minutes, he's going to give me 100% until he shows me he deserves more or can handle more. I think that's how hockey is too. It's like, I need to put these guys in perfect position. And then the player got to understand too, he's putting me in this position for a reason. Don't argue about more playing time until you prove you can do the little things with the little playing time that he's giving you. So the Yakov Trenins and all those guys, that if you show that you can be responsible and do what you need to do with the time that I give you, I'm going to give you more. And eventually, you'll start to weed out your playmakers, your true playmakers, your second-tier guys, and then your guys, like Willie say, that they may run hot and cold. You may get something great out of them for a week or two in regards to games, but then eventually they may tail off a little bit. They may tire out of something. But you just try to put those guys in position to succeed, and then when they're in that position, I think players got to understand, you got to know yourself as a player, And I think Coach has done a great job at doing that, and now the guys are starting to buy in.
Good, great answer. I think that's 100% right.
Let's get back into your phones. John is on the line. Maybe John has our answer. What's up, John?
Well, I'm hoping I have your answer. I'm going to do all this from memory. I grew up playing roller hockey, so it might be a different world. But if I remember, a goalie cannot throw their stick. That would be a misconduct penalty, and that can also be applied for a player, a defensive offense, passing the stick to the goalie. I know that it is also illegal for any player to ever hold two sticks. So the picking up of, that's usually why you see the players give their stick to the goalie.
Yeah, you do have to. I have seen that happen many times, right? The goalie loses a stick, so the defenseman hands his stick to the goalie, and then a forward hands his stick to the defenseman.
Can't just collect sticks like a bouquet of sticks, like nanny nanny boo boo. I got your stick.
And I believe before that can come full circle, I think that there is a equipment restriction with the width of the blade of the goalie stick that prevents anybody other than the goalie to be in position. So, like, a defenseman could not give his stick and then pick up the goalie stick and play with it. That would be a penalty based on equipment, I believe.
I've never seen a guy actually pick up the stick and start playing with the goalie stick. That would be wild. You're right. I don't think that's against the rule. I think you can pick up the goalie stick and hand it back to the goalie, if I'm not mistaken.
That may be something that changed with like some of when they adopted a lot of the Olympic rules back in the late 90s. That might have changed. I know that you will see, and in the past you saw it a lot, where guys would kind of slide the stick with their skates to the goalie. because that's kind of a difficult gray area for a official to prove that was an intentional misconduct. So that's all the info I got. I'll jump off. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your call,
A bouquet
John.
of sticks. Now we're getting into some good
Yes.
terminology. There was a play earlier this year in Seattle where a Seattle player passed the goalie stick back to the goalie, and everybody in the ice, including the goalie for Seattle, was like, no, you can't do that. And the
Put it
refs
down.
didn't do it. The refs didn't call it. And Andrew Burnett was beside himself. Like, everybody in this building knows you can't do what he just did. They didn't call it.
I would love to see a player pick up the goalie stick and then just
Start playing with it.
slap shot the crap out of it. Goal. All right, Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us in 15 minutes. We'll get his thoughts, what he saw from the Titans, what he saw from Will Levis in Miami. Tristan is on the line with a thought on the Predators. What's up, Tristan?
Yes, I was wondering, the Preds are playing out of their mind, and their new head coach, like just being a former player of the Preds, like, do you think the Titans need to, like, shake it up with the coach? I mean, just to get that feeling back in the stadium sometimes, because that's what I think former players are like. What's your take on it, Derek? And, yes, I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Tristan.
No, what? I didn't understand
Well,
quite.
There's
What
two
he was-
things that I think he's hit on philosophical. Now, first of all, we know Mike Vrabel is a former player
Yeah.
that has
Can
that
play for the
relatable
Titans, but-
part to a current player, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a strength. I mean, there have been plenty of great coaches that were not great players that are great coaches for whatever reason. And then the other part is this, I guess he's just asking about a shakeup. The shakeup in this case for the Predators looks like it's been a positive for now. And you've now seen 3 teams in the Western Conference during the season go for that shakeup. Just shake it up. Get something new, some new air in the locker room. See if it helps. I don't know how you feel about that, D-Mase, in football. You don't see as many coaching changes during the year. I know years ago they canned Ken Wisenhunt during the season. I don't think it helped a whole lot. That was just a bad team.
But I think a coaching change in the NFL in the middle of the season, and correct me if you feel differently, that's a waving the white flag move. Like, we're done. The season's over. We're going to change the coach.
And
In
it's the opposite
NHL,
in baseball, basketball, and hockey. A longer season, a marathon. It's maybe you're
It's
still
like-
trying to revive the season.
let's see if
And you have
shaking
the
up the
ability
coach is
to.
going to put
Yeah.
a little bit more energy in this team.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Did you agree with that, D-Mase? Like,
No,
did you
I-
ever play for a team that changed coaches during the season?
Boy, let me see. No, I didn't. They fired Brian Billick, but that was before the season started. Now, we've changed coordinators and stuff like
Right.
that, yeah. But they end up firing Coach Billick at the end of the season. I don't think it was directly right at the end of the season, but they did end up firing him. But I haven't been a part of a team that fired Coach mid-season.
Like, Urban Meyer was fired mid-season, but
He deserved it.
that needed to happen. Maybe he came a
Ken
little bit
Wisenhunt,
too late.
that needed to
That
happen.
needed to
He
happen.
deserved
Those
it,
in-season firings are like, that guy has to get out of there, lock the doors, take his thumbprint out of our locks. He's getting out of there.
Give me your keys.
Tristan called and mentioned the Titans. I have a quick Titans thought coming up next before we get into our conversation with Jonathan Hutton. So many people have been so angry about this team losing as many games as they have. And I get it. I understand. You should be angry. But people were angry about winning too. So we'll discuss coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton Withrow will join us in 10 minutes. We'll hear from Mike Vrabel at 12:15. But before we get to Hutton, I understand that this is a Titans fan base that's frustrated, that's tired of losing, that's tired of this team looking as bad as it's looked at times this season. I get it. I understand it. You're a fan. You have every single reason to be upset. You have every reason to be mad at the coach, at the GM, the owner, whoever you want to be mad at. I get it. I understand. What I don't understand, in my core do not understand, the group of the fan base that's mad about this team winning on Monday night, that this team went on the road to Miami, where the Dolphins have yet to lose this season, the number one offense in the country, in the NFL, I guess the country too, the number one offense in the NFL. You go in there with no Jeffrey Simmons and no Christian Fulton, and you beat that team. And there is a group of the fan base that has the audacity to be mad because it might push you down a couple of spots in the draft. No. Worry about the draft in January. Worry about the draft in February. Enjoy winning. That's why you play the games. That's what makes the season fun. Winning games, and they did that, and you haven't been doing a whole lot of that this season. Enjoy the wins. Worry about the draft pick in January, February.
Yeah, I think because of the way the season has gone, I think Titans fans, they think it may be short-lived. Like, okay, yeah, that was just one of those games that, this team ends up pulling out, and winning that nobody expects them to win. But ultimately, they are who they are. Look at their record. Look at the roster. They are who they are. And it's not like we're going to, get into a playoff situation. But here's the interesting part about that. I was going out and getting mail, taking out my trash and getting the mail this morning. And I ran into a gentleman who recognized me because I used to run during the pandemic. I used to run a lot in Belmead and in the Boulevard. And I saw him there, and we got to talking way back then. But he saw me this morning, and he brought up that same thing. Uh-huh. And he was like, but he was on the other side, like, I'm glad they won.
Yeah.
Like, they needed to win. They needed to they needed to know how it felt to win games like that. And he was right about that. Yeah. He was completely right. But then, he went on and said, listen, essentially getting a higher draft pick, he would rather win games than have that high draft pick. Because in his mind, he basically, listen, these guys on this team, they've lost so much in the last year and a half. They need to learn how to win. They need to, get that winning feeling. So when you do go and draft guys, the culture and everybody feels good about themselves heading into the offseason. And this guy didn't care if he wasn't too concerned about the position of their draft. He was more concerned about, the morale in the locker room, winning games.
That's a great point.
And I think there are
a lot of fans are. I think there are a big group of fans that think like that guy. Rather than the other side.
It's a classic dilemma. It's a classic dilemma. I think last year the Predators, the last couple of months, right? They never lost the expectation to win, even though they sold. But to their credit, they kept the expectation that they could still have success. And I think maybe you could argue that that's helped them this year with the expectations. They weren't like, well, we're supposed to lose now. We're selling, we're rebuilding. They never really let themselves get there. I think that's the give and take with being in this sort of developmental mode for the Titans. You can never say that it's not good to have the winning experience, right? To actually get the W at the end of the day.
Especially when you've got a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't won a lot of games.
But I absolutely see at least the viewpoint. Like, getting mad that they won, that's extreme. That's, come on.
Yeah.
I understand, though, that, man, they really could use some extra draft picks. They need some assets to build around to help them rebuild quicker because they've got a lot of holes to fill. But it's a classic debate. I mean, you can go back and pick a year. I'm sure somebody was having this debate in 1976 about a team, right?
And I think the perspective is different when you have that young quarterback, that guy that you believe can be the guy moving forward.
Right.
Because I can understand. I think there's a little bit. I would understand a little bit more if maybe, say, Ryan Tannehill was quarterbacking this team and you didn't have Will Levis. That you were in, tank for Caleb Williams, Drake May mode. I would understand that a little bit more. But you at least have the young guy that you believe is going to be your quarterback for years to come, and he's a rookie. And I think experiencing that, orchestrating those game-winning drives, having that feeling of nobody believes in us. Everyone thinks Miami's a Super Bowl contender, and we just beat them in their own house. Having that feeling, knowing what that's like, having that experience, I think is more valuable to this football team than the 10th pick rather than the 7th pick. We'll chat with Jonathan Hutton coming up next. We'll get his perspective on that, what he took away from the Titans' win in Miami. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. 1025 The Game has teamed up with Mookie Betts' AIM Foundation to help underprivileged members of our community. You can email bids in now and enter your bids at gmail.com for either the family package that includes Mookie Betts t-shirts, hats, miniature Dodger baseball bats, Mookie Betts autographed baseballs, or the game day package that includes $500 Southwest gift card, a Mookie Betts jerseys, Dodgers and Dad Gang hats, plus 2 tickets to a Dodgers game in Los Angeles and a photo op with Mookie Betts. Email bids in now and enter your bids at gmail.com.
Look at the time. Look at the time.
Look at the time. It is Hutton o'clock. It's Wednesday at noon, so it is Hutton o'clock, our very favorite time of the week. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow joins us now. Hutton, always appreciate our chats with you. A little bit of news coming out from the Titans just now. Christian Fulton has just been placed on IR. Going into this season, I thought this is such a critical year for Christian Fulton. Just prove that you can stay healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy all season long, now out for at least the next 4 games. Hutton, doesn't it seem like it's pretty inevitable the Titans are moving on from Christian Fulton after this year when his contract is up at the end of the season?
Yeah, I get that sense. I got that sense of the preseason, quite frankly, Caroline, and it just because of the, he was contemplating whether or not he wanted to be out there during some mandatory work, voluntary work, whatever it might be, and he's just trying to send a message that he knows it's his final year. The agent is sending the message as well. And he's the guy that they directly mentioned, Vrabel specifically mentioned, along with David Long Jr. with the soft tissue injuries. And there was a point in the season, though, I thought Christian Fulton was trying to turn a corner. I thought he had a good camp when he came out and played. And there were a handful of games, a handful of weeks ago, where he played okay. He was trying to be more consistent, and then there's the injuries again. It has plagued his career. It doesn't mean it will plague it moving forward. I just don't feel as though the Titans see value in a guy. If they didn't see value in a guy, trying to find an extension prior to his contract expiring, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to negotiate against others that would be bringing him in, looking for something that fits more of his skill set, and probably thinks they can do more with him than what the Titans did.
Repeat offenders, and he is one of them. The Titans did what I thought there was a likelihood of about 0.0001% chance of happening, and that is going to Miami and beating Miami, especially when you're down 14 with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. What do you think you learned about the Titans on Monday night?
Well, I mean, we learned that let's go back a couple of weeks, guys. We learned that the Vrabel message is sticking within that locker room, and that's I think that it sounds, okay, cliche, whatever. Look at their record. This is now back-to-back games, though, that have been crazy. And we led off last week's discussion saying the Titans did everything they could to win the game against Indy and then didn't. Bad teams find ways to lose games. And in this case, they found a way to win. And down 14, 3.5 to play. I mean, the Titans had 39 fourth quarter points all season entering the fourth quarter Monday night. And they scored more fourth quarter points in the game than they had in their previous 4 games combined. They scored 15 or more inside the fourth quarter for the first time since January 2nd of 2022. It's been a while. And I think also there's a fire within Will Levis that you like to see. He needs to stay healthy. He needs to learn to slide, all of that. But I like the fact that they showed that they can be down a few scores. They can find ways to lose games after playing as well as they did against the NFL's top offense. And they did it through the Vrabel mentality. I like the fact that Vrabel was aggressive, going for 2 after the first touchdown. All of that played into the old Vrabel way. And we have not seen that in a while. We saw it on Monday night.
We'll talk with Jonathan Hutton. And Jonathan, I mean, again, we go back to this game and we look at it and everybody, I told the crew, listen, the tail of Vrabel gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It seems like it's going to be to a point where, they're going to be hearing about Vrabel every corner of the earth, eventually. But I look at that game, and that game wasn't about Vrabel. It really wasn't. I think Vrabel's a good coach. It didn't change anything in regards to what I thought about him. Whether they lost that game or won that game, I still think he's a good coach. But it did change for me a little bit how I saw Tim Kelly, because I believe the game ball should have went to Tim Kelly, because Tim Kelly did a masterful job at not trying to chase plays, not getting overly excited. Now, the game wasn't perfect by any means. I understand that Titans tried to lose it at one point, but Miami basically said, no, we don't want it here. You can have the game. But what Tim Kelly did, even through all of that, he stayed within the framework of the offense. He still tried to run the football. Tyjae Spears, I think that may have been his best game all season.
Yes.
And he will continue to get better. But I just think that Tim Kelly isn't getting enough of the credit. And I'm sure he doesn't care about it. But when you look at the big scope of things, this had nothing to do with Vrabel. I think it had everything to do with Tim Kelly in making sure he didn't allow his team or his offense or the quarterback to try to chase points or think they had to do more than what they had to.
Yeah, I mean, and they had the turnovers.
Yeah.
Which and they got away with that. And they gave up the points late in all of that. They had the pick six, the fumble by Levis. Look, going back to Tim Kelly, it should not be forgotten the Titans, they had that 69-yard drive in 28 seconds to get a field goal right before halftime. And on that drive, they targeted their guy. I like the fact that they target 26 targets for DeAndre Hopkins over the last 2 weeks. And he had 2 catches for 67 yards on that drive right before half. So they and also, Mace, you may recognize this much more than us. I can't find the stat, but the Titans, when the Titans, they win and went empty formation, I felt like more than they had all season. And I think that benefits the arm of Will Levis. They're letting it fly. They're not abandoning the run game. They're using Spears as an extension of the run game through the pass, like on that screen that set up that drive at the end. But Henry had the lowest amount of yards we've seen him have with 17 or more carries. So they're not abandoning that aspect, but that was going nowhere. And here's the other aspect. While we're still waiting on Traylon Burks and whatever else is going on with that, Chikakonkwo, he's catching the ball. Hit a season high 5 catches. He's gone over 40 yards in 3 consecutive games. He has 153 yards in the last 3. I like what I've seen in that as well. And again, it's a one-game come from behind thriller late in the fourth quarter. It doesn't erase what we've seen, but I like the fact I take away from the game that the team is still buying into what they're being sold, and that's a good thing considering all the change that we've seen last year and what we're going to see this year.
Yeah, and I think, and that's what I wanted to see from this team against Miami, because listen, realistically, playoffs are basically out of the picture. A lot of things will have to happen for the Titans. They will have to win the remainder of their games, and other teams will have to lose because they even lose tiebreakers in some situations. But I think this team, and what I wanted to see was, what are guys playing for? Because you don't have the playoffs out there. Are you playing for your contract? Are you playing for the guy next? What are you playing for? I don't want to see guys loafing. I don't want to see guys, not being in tune with the game. And I didn't see that this last game, which tells me guys, even though the playoffs are far from happening, guys are finding things to play for, which is a good thing. Now, Traylon Burks, I am extremely, extremely disappointed. Not necessarily in Traylon Burks. I'm not. I mean, we've had people call in here. Yeah, we had people call in here and said he's trash. I'm like, no, unless you played that position, and I mean this, unless you play that position, you can't tell me a guy's trash when you're not even targeting the guy. I'm watching film of whatever they put out, and it's like you're running clear-out routes. How are you going to have your first-round draft pick?
What does that mean, Mace? You pointed that out. What does that mean?
It means he's not a part of the offense. Like,
decoy.
If basically a decoy. If you're open, wide open, we'll throw it to you. But other than that, we're going to throw it to anybody else but you. You are the guy that's going to clear everything out because you're the biggest, you're the strongest, and you're the fastest. And they got to honor that. But we're going to give it to everybody else underneath. And to me, they got to find a way to get this young man in the game. I'm not going to say anything bad about Traylon Burks anymore until they find a way to get him in the game to prove to me he's not worthy to be a guy that they can depend on.
Well, I agree that he needs some targets. Let me play devil's advocate. Chris Moore finds a way to get himself in the game. They're still going to Chigakonkwo. They're going to the running back out of the backfield. They're targeting their veteran DeAndre Hopkins, who continues to make plays. And if he reaches 1,000 yards, it's going to be something we haven't seen in a while since A.J. Brown. And prior to that, Kendall Wright had 1,000 yards in 2013. It's just the second wide receiver to do so since 2013, if he reaches 1,000. Let's see. Nick Westbrook-Akine nearly had a touchdown, had the 2-point conversion. I mean, they're spreading the ball around. Where the hell is Traylon Burks in all of this? Like, he's got to get himself in the game, doesn't he? I mean, he's got a rookie quarterback who's throwing it and he's spinning it and he's spraying the football all over the field. If Burks is on the field, surely he gets more targets than just being ignored.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can understand what you're saying, but there's only one football. See, this is why, when receivers do certain things, I don't mind. You say receivers are divas. They are. Why? Because there's only one football. And on a pass play, you may not get that football, and you may be wide open, but because the play is not geared toward you, you're not going to get it. To me, they need to make an effort, like a concerted effort. I don't want to listen to Vrabel anymore get on the podium and say, well, we threw him a quick screen and, we tried to give him the deep ball. He was running hard. He's playing hard. If he's running hard, he's playing hard, he's doing the things that you're asking, blocking well, then honor the dude. Make it a priority. Make it a damn priority to get this man the ball so you can understand going into the draft what we need and what we don't need. At this point, I don't know if they need another receiver beside D-Hop or not, because they're not giving him an opportunity. I've seen it before. I've been a part of it before. And if you don't get this man, into the game, he's going to lose all confidence. Like, he's going to continue to play hard, but it's like, man, I'm doing all of this, but y'all are not rewarding me for it. You're saying all these good things, but you're not rewarding me for it.
At what point do you speak up if you're Traylon Burks?
And that's the
publicly?
conversation that we had yesterday. He's not. The bad part about it is,
he's not that guy.
He's not. Yeah, he doesn't have that. I don't think that's his mentality. I would have went in there and be like, you need to give me the damn ball. Like, I done went to the coaches. Y'all need to give me the ball. Like, seriously. But he's not in a position to do that. One, because he's a young guy still. Two, you don't want to ruffle any feathers because D-Hop is there, and you don't want to seem like, you're being selfish when, in fact, you're not being selfish. You just want to be involved. That's how they get away with it. Oh, you're selfish. No, I'm not selfish. I want to be involved. That's all. So he just doesn't have the skins on the wall, let's say, to go in there and say, I need the ball.
Just real quick, though, and some will hate this comparison. Some will be like, you're dead on. A.J. Brown didn't have the skins on the wall. He just went up and took it and demanded it behind the scenes, and then publicly, too. Whenever he would have a bad game, he would follow it up with a good game. And he would be the alpha, and he would show up week to week. Like, he's always.
But that's
his
personality.
That guy.
That's AJ's personality. That was my personality. That's not Traylon Burks' personality to go and say, I want the football. That's not his personality. He's not going to. At least that's what I believe is not his personality.
Well, D-Hop's not that way either. He's not vocal publicly, but he shows up and produces and has done so as a first-round pick. Burks is in the same boat there. Again, I don't know what he has or has not said behind the scenes, but I do know if a receiver's pissed off, look around the league this year. Anytime someone says, I want the damn ball, they get it. CeeDee Lamb's the most recent example, and he's gone off for 3 consecutive weeks after he did that midway through the season. Again, there are the haves and the have-nots at the position, and, I mean, the Titans are dying to have, at best, a number 2 guy. It didn't have to be number 1. Hopkins is that guy. First and foremost, he's got to be on the field. He's on the field now, and I'm with you. He's got to get more targets than what we're seeing. But I don't know if it's the fact that he's just in the doghouse and they're refusing to throw him the football, because I think Will Levis will spin it to him if he's open.
Hutton, hate that we have to cut our visit short this week. We do have to get to Mike Vrabel's press conference, but
Yes.
appreciate your time nonetheless, and we'll chat next week. We'll make up for lost time next week.
No, it's all good. I'll look forward to listening. I was listening earlier. Love the show, guys, and have a great rest of the week.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you,
Hutton. You too. All right, we'll send
Later.
it over to St. Thomas Sports Park. Mike Vrabel is addressing the media now.
Make sure that they're tied for first in explosive pass play. So that's a huge challenge. I think that the guys that are rushing obviously play a part in that as well. You can't just sit there in one coverage. Show them the look. They do a nice job mixing in, the play action game, and being able to move the quarterback into different spots. And he does a nice job keeping his eyes, downfield and stepping up. So when they've been able to protect them in that first and second down, first and second down windows, they've been able to find spaces and different concepts that they work.
I know you guys preach move on, 24-hour rule, that sort of thing. But after such an emotional win, how do you get everybody's feet kind of back on the ground and prepared for this week?
I think that's all. Just trying to bring them in here a little bit later today and excuse me. Touch on the game briefly, but then, like you said, turn the page and be excited about the opportunity to get back home, to be in the division. And build and just try to build off of all the good things that we did, and start our preparation and understand that just 1 week and it was a big week for us, but there's another challenge ahead of us this week in the division. We gotta get a win in the division.
What's the balance like, Mike, in trying to get some speed in, get some work in practice, but also not try to overdo it coming on a short week?
Yeah, late in the season, Jimmy, I think that just being able to find the details and execution and game plan, it'll be a different scheme that we're preparing for. So, trying to get as many different looks at that as we can with the plays. And so it'll be a good challenge. We'll probably, try to ramp up as the week goes on. There won't be much today. Just from where we're at from a health standpoint and a recovery and being mid-December.
You talked about the plan going into the last one for Brunskill. With 4 left, is there any concern that one of your key guys up front kind of worn down?
No. I mean, I think that's just part of this league, and give Brunny a lot of credit for battling and continue to push, just like a lot of other guys that we have that, it's a long season, that have been out there every week and that have been trying to play hard. And you saw Daniel, out in front of some of those screens that were, huge for us late in the game. And, he did a nice job a couple times with Dylan passing off games and being able to build a pocket. So, I know Brunny, is going to, continue to prepare and battle and be ready to go on Sunday.
From your perspective, how have you seen that relationship between Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins? How has that evolved?
Yeah, I think that there's just, that relationship is critical. I think between a veteran wide receiver and a young quarterback. It's, Hops played with a lot of quarterbacks, and they all talk different. They throw it different, and ultimately that you have to be on the same page. And you can see that, whether it was, a situation a couple weeks ago of, hey, I thought he was doing this, I thought he was doing that, to some of the other examples that being on the same page and having a lot of trust in them and being able to put the ball in places where Hop can make it. And so I think that's grown, and they continue to build that.
Do you think a league might be being a little harsh with things like finding a guy $13,000 for a gesture that nobody even really seemed to notice during the course of a game and stuff like that? It seems to be on the rise.
I mean, that's how they, again, want to try to police some of those things and have accountability for actions that happen during the game, whether they're seen by us as coaches or by our fans. player and everybody has a right to appeal those. That's kind of what it is. It's just try to continue to do things that don't hurt the team and lead to penalties.
You prefer when it results in a fine as opposed to a penalty?
I don't have a preference.
I guess lost in some of the shuffle from Miami. Tyler made his debut on Sunday. Did you get a chance to watch that game at all? And I mean, just how crazy of an experience was that this weekend?
It was great. I'm happy for him that he prepared. I tell him same thing I tell our guys that you're one play away once you get activated, and I know he's been working extremely hard, and I don't know where it goes from here, but went in and got to see a couple plays before we took off.
Any critique of the tape?
No, I'm not. That's not for me to critique. I'm happy that he got an opportunity.
You had to lose Kyle, but you got, I guess, Coburn and Bohan in. What do you know about those guys, and what will their kind of role be?
The guys that we've watched, throughout the course of the year, and look to add some young players at this point in time, and both interior defensive linemen that can give us, have played. Q has been active 3 games and has played, probably 25 plays a game in 3 games, and so, big body, looked like he played with decent pad level, and excited to work with him and Keandre.
Christian, was there a setback of any kind that landed him on IR, or was it just kind of processing through the original injury and figuring out when he could go?
Yeah, it was just an original injury.
How disappointed are you for him that it's season ending and maybe even ending his time here?
Well, I don't know about any of that other than just disappointed that he won't be able to be with us or help us, and just unfortunate. And I want everybody that's here that want him to be healthy and want him to play and want him to help us, and that's my hope. And I know he's disappointed, and we're disappointed for him, just like Pecco. These guys put a lot into it, and they play hard, and it's unfortunate when I know that they're not looking for a way out. Like, neither of those guys are looking for a way out. They got injured, and gotta create a roster spot, and so I don't. Even if we didn't need the spot, neither of those guys would have been back anytime soon.
With Traylon Burks, now that he's healthy, I saw you try to get him involved early last week, but is there something that could be done to get him just more in the flow of the game?
Yeah, it's just sometimes that the ball, got to be able to find you. He was running. He created Hop's explosive game there at the end. He's rolling through there, and if they come off of him and they take Hop, then I know that Will's going to let that ball go. And so, I think there's some of those things that don't lead to catches, but that are still making the play. It's like defensive linemen. You can make the play without making a tackle. And, I know that doesn't sound great for a receiver, but, a big guy that's rolling through, the middle of the field, that's taking coverage with them, that's creating, Hop, who is our most targeted player, allow him to be wide open. That's a big factor in why that play was successful.
Using those small wins, do you use those when you talk to them?
Yeah, we showed a team, we show everybody, and so the ball is going to find him, and he's going to continue to work, and he's going to continue to, we hit some screens, we had, so it wasn't like, there was a ton of ops. We created some things on third down to just, like the matchup with Tajay and where we were, and being able to get the ball in some of those screens that created those X plays, and I'm confident that those opportunities will, continue to come as he works and is back out there.
In 46 snaps, what kind of balance between clear out routes and blocking for screens?
No, those aren't clear outs or screens. I'm just saying we called the screen. We're not, we're not just going to call plays for, it doesn't work that way. Like, hey, we're just going to raise up and throw it to Traylon. And the clear out, we've had many routes, and it's not a clear out. You know what I mean? It's being able to read the post safety or the quarter safety, and if they stay high, well, then we're not going to throw, to the guy that's taking two guys, through the post. So I don't want you to think that we're just sending them on. We try to go up, take a matchup on third down and long, and wasn't able to come down with it. But we're going to take chances. We know the skill set that he has, and he's going to help us, and we'll go from there.
I understand you're not going to force things to him, but over the course of a game, most good receivers in 46 snaps find some targets or find more targets generally, don't they?
Yeah, we're going to continue to target. If it's a two-man concept, and he's in the game, the quarterback's going to read it out. He's working hard, and he's going to be out there, and confident that he'll help us.
How well do you know D'Amico Ryans, and what style play maybe is similar to how you see it as a defensive coach as well?
I know him, I think, well. I know who he is. I know what he believes in. I know the type of teammate that he was and the type of leader that he was as a player. We've spoken at different points in time in my coaching career and in his now very good coaching career. They're sound, they play fast, they're physical, they attack, and it'll be a great challenge to be able to block not only the front but the linebackers that run and flow fast. They got good safeties, good tacklers, and they're a very good special teams unit, obviously, and we know how well the offense has been playing.
How has Traylon done with kind of that concept that you said, right? Every receiver wants to catch the ball, and just embracing the idea of I can make a play without the ball coming my direction.
I think he has, and again, it's our job to show him those things, and then when you get opportunities, you got to make the most of his opportunities. The quarterback decides where he wants to throw the ball. Threw a slant to Hop. I wish he'd have come over here and thrown it to the other side, and that's kind of how it goes. But all in all, just we have to be more efficient, have less self-inflicted wounds. You could see when we get into the rhythm of drives and the flow of drives, we do much better. And the better that we can run the football, the better that we can, create opportunities in a play-action pass game, which then now allows for those receivers to work the different concepts and have success down the field.
These games always meant more to Amy's dad. Is there any sense with the uniform and the move and all of that there's specialness to the rivalry with them?
Well, there's the division game. I think it's a unique situation, having been from where we, came from and how we ended up here. And, the uniforms will be, a nice, touch to that and everything else. But this is about, our guys preparing for the Texans. And we've had some great matchups, since I've been here, tough games, physical games, division games. So, there's a lot that is around that, Paul, I think. But most importantly, it's about, trying to get a win in the division.
You hinted that you might wear a Bum Phillips-style cowboy hat on.
I don't know. I probably got caught up in the moment.
I voted in favor.
You voted. How about I just wear one to the game?
Will you do that?
I'll wear one to the game on that little walk-up where Teron takes all the pictures.
You already have one picked out?
No, I don't. No, I need
Shopping
one.
spree? Who's not practicing? Please.
Raider won't be practicing. Phillips won't be practicing. Tart won't be practicing. Simmons won't be practicing. Wiley won't be practicing. Gifford won't be practicing. Or Gibbons. Dr. Gibby won't be practicing. Gifford will be out there. That should do it. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. That was Mike Vrabel. We'll hear from Will Levis, not Mike Levis. Will Levis coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Let's tell you once again about our friends at F&M Bank. And I'll tell you what, we've had so much fun with the promotion of Take It to the Bank on Fridays. It has become a part of our show, and so we love that. Let me also tell you where their head is right now, because and you will hear my message if you listen to the station pop up from time to time, because they want to know how much people can lean on them. As we've been talking about, they've got 20 locations across our listening area, and a lot of them are right in the areas that got hit by the tough weather over the weekend, right? Clarksville, Hendersonville. They've got branches in those areas, and they know that a lot of people have a lot of needs right now. And that's where banking made easy on purpose and the goal of being a part of your community is going to mean something to them and hopefully to you. So if you're in need, and just be thinking about them, and just know that they're thinking about you at F&M Bank and all the ways they can help you and your family. So F&M Bank, I want you to go to their website if you're looking for that kind of relationship, and if you've got some needs, myfmbank.com is the website, and you can find one nearest to you. And our thoughts continue to be with all of you in the areas that were affected by the severe weather we had over the weekend. F&M Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, Will Levis is up at the podium, so we'll send it over to him now.
You lowered the shoulder?
Yeah, we exchanged some words. I don't remember exactly what was said, though.
Mike said yesterday he showed you tape of, I guess, ways to slide. He hinted, or kid with you about showing you tape of quarterbacks that got hit in those situations?
Yeah, when we were going through the film yesterday, he popped in and said that, and the cut up this week will probably look a lot different than it did last week.
Did you watch Hard Knocks last night?
I didn't. Did it air? I didn't
Yeah.
even know. I didn't know that they turned it around that fast. I'll have to watch it sometime this week.
You got the angry run scepter thing on NFL Network. So one, I bet you never really thought you'd get that. And two, Kyle Brandt wants to know what kind of pre-workout you're doing to get amped up like that on the sideline.
I haven't taken pre-workout in a while, probably since college max day in the weight room. But no, just juice, just from the inside. But no, they do a great job with that. Kyle's great, and I'm proud to have received the award.
How much do you think that juice is a carryover quality that's healthy for the team? Especially, we saw it most vividly when you came off the sideline after the second touchdown.
Yeah.
What are you feeling there, and what's it mean to the team?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, as a quarterback, as a competitor, as a leader, you hear about staying calm, cool, and collected, and there's definitely some, something to be said about that, and I feel like I keep myself that way a lot. But when there is those times that you are able to, show your emotions, and this is an emotional game, and you can't have it bottled up all the time. Just be yourself out there and show those emotions and wear your heart on your sleeve sometimes, and just sometimes that's just can bring other guys up with you. So it's just knowing when to use it and being authentic with it.
I think that's why it's so interesting that you can balance the two. So just take me into the mind of Will Levis when you're able to have those emotions after a good play or a bad play, and then you can immediately switch it to business mode on the field. Is that something you were kind of wired with, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I wasn't really able to control it. So just throughout my career, being able to just mature and get better in that way, and not let those things carry on and affect the plays you have in the future. So I mean, a lot of the times, I won't do anything. Sometimes I will, acknowledge a little thing here and there, even just in the midst of a drive, but it's important just to just reset and get back to that next play. Even with Tim, we were talking we had that procedure penalty and he's going crazy on the sideline and fired up, but get it out of your system, move on, and just play the next play. And I feel like we did a good job of that, on Monday, being able to just put all the bad stuff we did in the first half behind us and get the win.
Quarterbacks' plays in their career are often defined by their ability to succeed or not succeed in the 2-minute drill. How much do you enjoy the 2-minute drill, and how much responsibility goes into that, and everything being placed on your shoulders to come through in those situations?
For sure. I mean, those are the high pressure, pressure cooker situations where it doesn't matter what you did up until that point in the game. If you're not able to get it done in that moment, then it doesn't matter. So, I feel like we've done a great job of that going back to camp, and even with the reps that I got back then with the 2s or 3s or whatever it was, gaining confidence through the reps I got there, and then with the opportunities we've got so far in the 2-minute drives we've had, I've been proud of how we've operated. So, got to keep doing it, finding ways to switch it up and give them different looks, and just continue to put points on the board in those situations.
Who were some of your favorite guys to watch operate the 2-minute when you were growing up?
I mean, I got to go Tom. I mean, there's a lot of instances of, where I was a fan of them, so thinking that they were down and out at the end of a game, and even like I'd mentioned yesterday, but when I was out with these kids, a lot of them were in bed, and then they wake up the next morning and they're like, dang, we got the win. And I remember that vividly with a couple times with Tom, and just being like, dang, how did he pull that off? So being able to be poised and just taking a profit and chunking down the field and not being, too aggressive, he did it better than anybody.
That relationship that you and Hopkins have, how has that evolved over time, from when you first got the starting job until now?
Yeah, I think it's evolved in what he's expected out of me, and then in turn just what I can expect out of him. And when I first started playing, it was very black and white. I think he's a guy when he has developed a chemistry with his quarterback, that he's able to do things that puts himself in a better position to succeed. But it can be a little different, and that could scare like a rookie quarterback. So that's something I'm just working through with him and understanding the different kind of variations that could happen with the different routes he's running. We saw it a couple times on Monday, being able to just recognize it and just stay with him and trust him and taking it. And then continuing to understand, how we're seeing coverages. Like there was a third down the other night where, sure, he might have been the last read in the coverage, but I got to really know, like, it's this coverage. If this player does this, I can move on and I can find him earlier and get us a first down opposed to checking it down and punting it away. So getting better there. He's going to keep pushing me, and he's been a great role model and teammate for me.
And that's the thing he told me. Like initially, he gave you some leeway, but now it's at the point where it's like not taking any shorts. So how has that kind of like pushed you to elevate your game, or has it done so?
Yeah, no, I mean, it just pushes me to just be better and prepare and take it to the next level because there's no more rookie mistakes, no more free passes for any of that. Across the board, we got a lot of young guys that are playing, but we've had enough reps and enough snaps at this point where we can't let any of that fly, and we know it. Sometimes that does happen, but it's time for us to take our game to the next level, and that's what we need to do.
The touchdown pass to him, was that actually a no-look pass?
I think I just saw him last second. I wasn't not looking when I threw it, but I just kind of realized last second. But it was a good adjustment by him and be able to just kind of settle in that zone. But it was a good feel because I could feel where he was going to be, and we were able to connect on it.
Well, what did you learn from the final drive in Pittsburgh, maybe specifically that last throw? And did it help you on Monday night in those game situations?
The situation was a little different, and just with the time on the clock, and I was definitely I wouldn't have been as aggressive on that throw if I had like the minute or a little less than 2 minutes like I did on Monday night. But I think if anything, it was just taking a profit, taking what they give you, and not forcing anything. And I thought we did a good job of that, of what they got underneath it and taking it down to Tajay and letting them run. But that's what I was most proud of. Wasn't necessarily trying to force anything, even though I knew we had to get some chunks.
How do you go about dissecting a win like that and trying to, as Vrabel said, build off the good and replicate that, and then kind of scrap and learn from the bad plays? Yeah,
it's good and bad all throughout the film. You can't value one more than the other. Just like we're taking the bad and we're trying to correct it. We're trying to use the good to give us confidence to go into this next week, to let us know that we can do it versus this type of team. We can do it against anybody. So a lot of good stuff that we saw today in the tape that got all of us fired up and was cool to see. But it's just important for us to use that to motivate us to work even harder to get the win again this week.
There was a funny moment, I guess, after the game where Tajay was next to you trying to get your attention post-game. What do you remember about that, and what's it been like kind of growing your relationship with him as you guys start your careers together?
Yeah, I've been in that. I don't know who else has been in that situation, but it's weird. Like, I didn't feel it. Like, it took like a few taps for me to finally feel it. But I mean, he was a guy throughout that whole game who was right next to me throughout all of it, instilling confidence in me and knew that we were going to go down and make it happen even after that fumble. So his positivity, his work ethic, I think really underrated thing about him and how we played the end of that game was his conditioning. I think that those 2-minute drives, he looked like the most well-oiled player out on that field, I think, while some other guys in the defense were dragging around. For him to be able to get the ball in space and get those checkdowns and that screens, a few catches there in huge situations and getting out of bounds and sprinting, that's the type of worker he is, and he's a special player, and we're very grateful to have him.
I'm sure you've got it fixed on your phone, Will, but are you completely used to seeing your name auto-corrected on stuff from Levi's?
It's pretty annoying, yeah. But hey, they got a heck of a company. I'm a big fan of their jeans. So I mean, if there's anything there, I'm all ears.
Well, have you seen the meme, that kind of photoshopped image of you? Do you know who made that some of the guys were sharing?
Oh yeah, no, I don't know who made it. It was pretty funny though. But yeah, it's funny. I saw that all over. But yeah, I think we all got a kick out of that. Thank you guys.
All right, there you go. That was Titans quarterback Will Levis. We'll react to what he had to say coming up next. Plus, what Mike Vrabel had to say about Treylon Burks and his usage. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studio, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. And you can join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and D-Mase at Teddy's Tavern this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. for our NFL pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 15 matchup against the Texans and give you the latest updates before the game. Our NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Beast Unleashed. So we just heard from Mike Vrabel and Will Levis and their media availability at the podium, and there was one thing that Mike Vrabel touched on that we've been talking about. Honestly, D-Mase, something that we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. And I want to get into what Mike Vrabel said, but first, you looked at the All-22, and Nick sent us a video last night where every Traylon Burks route from behind the line of scrimmage. Your takeaways from what we saw, D-Mase?
I mean, it's disappointing, as a former wide receiver.
Are you disappointed in Traylon Burks, or are you disappointed in the coaching staff?
I'm disappointed that they're not figuring out a way to get him the ball. That's what I'm disappointed in. I listened to Vrabel's, response and, whatnot. And to me, it's like, dude, you're not giving us a true answer here. Because when you're calling plays listen, when you're in the mode of calling plays, you're just in it. I don't think a lot of times as a coordinator, you're thinking, oh, I got to get this player, I got to get this player, because you're sort of in the flow of the game. And you're calling plays, based on the coverages you believe they will play in this particular down. You're not going to call a bunch of slants, a bunch of hitches if they're playing cover two, because what do you do on cover two? If you run a hitch versus cover two, you got to roll it over and you got to convert it to a go route, outside release, run a go route. And that's essentially possibly taking two guys out of the offense. So you try not to make calls like that all the time. Sometimes they're going to get you, and you may get that shot in the hole when the guy goes around the corner, or you may get, depending on who's in the inside, you may get a quick out, because you're widening the corner. Give yourself a little space for the quick out so you can hit the quick out. But when you're calling plays, you're calling it based upon, your scouting of the team, their tendencies in down and distance. So not exactly, but for the most part, these are the coverages they're going to play. There may be one or two coverages they play in this particular moment. Doesn't always work like that, but that's how they're calling plays. So when you call a play, if I call whatever, and I got a post to the backside and an over to the front side, and I'm calling this play, and I know they're going to play either too high or single high, I know more than likely who's going to get the ball, who's not going to get the ball. The guy that's probably not going to get the ball is the guy that's taking the top off and taking the safety with them. Who's going to get the ball more than likely is the guy running across the field, or the two guys running across the field. They're trying to get levels. You may have a deep over, then you may have a shallow cross. So I can hit one of these guys based upon what the safety's doing and what the linebackers are doing. So when he answers the question in that fashion, it's like, no. I'm not going to buy that. They may buy it, that, some of the, men and women there that are listening, that are at the scrum, they may buy it, but I'm not buying it, because I know that if you wanted Traylon to get the ball, you would flip it and allow Traylon to be the guy that runs, and you would put somebody else, a Chris Moore, that can take the top off and allow that safety to then react to Chris Moore and hit Traylon coming across on a shallow route or a medium to deep crossing route. So when he says all this stuff, it's like, dude, I've been there. I understand it. I'm listening to you. I'm like, nah, that's not flying with me. You ain't going to, give me a sandwich and tell me it's peanut butter, okay? Well, you ain't going to do that.
Here is what Mike Vrabel had to say when asked about Traylon Burks and the fact that what percentage of routes that he ran on Monday were just decoy routes?
All of them, basically.
Basically every single one that he was out there, I said, just getting his steps in, just running cardio. This is what Mike Vrabel had to say when asked why that was a majority of the work that Treylon Burks got on Monday.
46 snaps, like what kind of balance between clear out routes and blocking for screens?
No, those aren't
would you
clear outs
expect?
or screens. I'm just saying we called the screen. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, we're not just going to call plays for, it doesn't work that way. Like, hey, we're just going to raise up and throw it to Treylon. And the clear out, we've had many routes, and it's not a clear out. You know what I mean? It's being able to read the post safety or the quarter safety, and if they stay high, well, then we're not going to throw, to the guy that's taking two guys, through the post. So I don't want you to think that we're just sending them on. We try to go up, take a matchup on third down and long, and wasn't able to come down with it. But we're going to take chances. We know the skill set that he has, and he's going to help us, and we'll go from there.
You're losing your mind over here listening to Mike
because
Vrabel.
it's just like, man, come on. Be real with them. I mean, as real as you possibly can, I guess. Let me just say that. Because that's what they are. It's like, oh, we don't design plays. But then he had to stop himself. He stopped himself. He was like, we don't design plays for – then he starts – because, damn it, you do. You design plays for Diop, which Diop deserves. The guy is going to walk into the Hall of Fame at least 5 or 6 years after he retired, because you get 5 years before you get nominated. So you design plays for him? Vrabel even said it. He's the most targeted guy on our team. So we got to do things to get the most targeted guy on our team open. Damn it, why you can't do that for Treylon Burks? See, that stuff don't fly with players. You can tell media guys that, but that stuff don't fly with players. Oh, let me show film of him clearing it out. Yes, I understand that. Yes, everybody has a job to do. I get it. But every time I go out there, it can't be that same job. Like, eventually, you're saying, I'm doing all these great things. Don't worry. I know how some coaches are. I know that because they know that once the player watched the film, because listen, all receivers say they open. It don't matter.
Waffle House, always open.
We always open. All receivers are open. But then once we go back and watch the film, it's like, okay, I saw what the quarterback saw, and I can see why you didn't throw it. So he understands that when Treylon watches the videos, he see himself just running track meets. So he has to sort of, hey, Treylon, look, everybody, look at what Treylon's doing. I was about to curse. I damn it been there. I understand that. That's what I'm saying. You could tell that to some of them, not all of them. You can't. It doesn't fly with people like Paul. It doesn't fly with people like TD. And it's probably a couple other, Jim. It's probably other media guys and girls out there that doesn't fly with. Mm-hmm. I'm just not saying everybody by name. But when you say things like, it doesn't fly. It doesn't, because to me, when we turn on that tape, this is what's happening. You got to get we gave him a screenplay. Who cares about a screenplay? Because you didn't come back to him.
If you were in Treylon Burks' position and you came to the coaching staff and you said, I want the ball more, I want to be involved more, and Mike Vrabel responded to you like that, well, we got you a screen. How would you react?
I'd be pissed. I would be. But that's just because I know I'm going to go out there and work my ass off. I'm going to do that for my team. There's not a teammate that I played with that would never say Derek didn't go out there and give 100% when he stepped on that field, practice or games. No matter if I was getting the ball or not. I went out there and I gave it 100%. I knew but I gave it 100%. So when I'm walking in there, I'm like, I'm not getting the ball. Y'all understand it. I need to be a part of the offense, not because of the selfishness, but because I feel I can help, and our offense can be better.
Right.
Treylon, his personality, I don't think lends to that. I don't need to do that. Like, I don't need to. Y'all know what I can do. Y'all know I'm that dude. So y'all going to give me the ball. If y'all don't, y'all lost. I'll go somewhere else next season and catch a bunch of balls. Mm-hmm. So they know that. And then the other problem is this. Tim Kelly has a wonderful relationship or rapport on the field with D-Hop. So he's always going to defer to D-Hop. The quarterback's going to defer to D-Hop because the offensive coordinator defers to D-Hop.
I mean, young quarterback.
Young quarterback, and rightfully so.
Veteran wide receiver.
Absolutely.
I get it.
I get it, rightfully so. But this is not.
But when it doesn't go to D-Hop, it goes to Nick Westbrook-Akine. It goes to Chris Moore. It goes to Chiconquo. It goes to Josh Wiley. It doesn't go to Traylon Burks.
And this is what I'm going to stand on this hill until they show me that I need to get off the hill in regards to Traylon. If they go out and target him, he start dropping more passes and all this. He's like, okay, then I'm backing up. Now I'm like, Traylon, you got to do your job. You healthy now? You got to do your job. But until they do that, you're holding this offense back for whatever. I don't know who's doing it, but as a head coach, you got veto power over everything. You can walk into that room and say, hey, we need to get him the ball. I've seen it. I have seen it. Get him the ball. Make sure you get him involved. I'm not telling you to go out the scope of what we're doing, but make sure that we keep this young kid involved in the game. Because, again, what you don't want to do is for a young guy to start floating and feel he's not important. Don't put up no damn film week after week of me running clear routes and saying, oh, you're doing your job. Yes, I'm doing my job because I know I got D-Hop over here. I respect that guy enough, and I love his game enough that I'm going to do my job at clearing him out so he can get open. But why can't nobody do that for me? Why do I always have to be, majority of the time, being that guy? Why can't I get 5 or 6 plays that they run to clear out routes and I come underneath and get the ball in my hands? Why?
That's my question, is why? Because I get it. Sometimes, when you are one of those receivers and you're always open and you're not getting the ball, you have to be vocal. You have to demand your playing time. You have to demand the catches that you think that you deserve. I think sometimes it gets to that. But why is it getting to that point with Traylon? He's your first-round pick. Why does he need to be the one that bangs his hand on the table and says, give me the ball?
This is my theory. Because he's been hurt a lot, which he hasn't had. Like, he can't help. Like, those things he just can't help. And when that label is starting to trail behind you, that you're always injured, this and that, then coaches tend to sort of forget about, especially if you haven't really truly established yourself in this league. Coaches are trying to defer to somebody else and other things. No matter if you're out there running your butt off and doing all the things you're supposed to do, they're still going to defer to somebody else. My thing is, I understand this game, and I understand it from a receiver standpoint. Traylon's not going, again, that's not Traylon's. I don't think that's Traylon's personality. I'm not asking for Traylon to go in there and cause a fuss. Because that's not going to make anything better. But what he does need to do is go talk with, and I'm sure he has. Rob Moore has the hardest job in that building. He does. Because you got a bunch of receivers in the room that has that has made plays in this game this season for this team, winning plays. He has to manage all of those. And then you got your first-round pick who doesn't get targeted. So as a head coach, a guy that played the position he played, and Rob Moore played it at a high level. People need to go back and check his credentials. Rob played it at a high level when he was at Arizona and some other teams. He has to massage that. Like, I understand, because he's probably just going to Rob Moore in discussing his sort of anger in a sense. I don't want disappointment. Let's say that, disappointment. So Rob has to now massage that and make sure, hey, listen, I understand what you're saying. I get it, but just keep playing. It eventually come to you. That's where the offensive coordinator has to have the thought of, yeah, we are not targeting this guy enough. We need to make sure he stays in the game. That's where the head coach needs to come in the room and say, hey, listen, that game plan y'all putting together, make sure 16 is involved. Make sure he's involved in the game. I'm not asking you to go out the scope of what we're doing but make sure 16 is involved, because he only makes, if we can get him involved, if he catch, he makes us better. He does. He makes D-Hop's job easier, because it's gonna get to a point now, and it maybe is, other teams are looking like they ain't gonna throw the ball at him. Believe me, I've heard defensive players look at guys, they ain't throwing you the ball. Don't worry about it. Why? Because they've scouted us, and they know you ain't getting the ball.
I don't need to worry about it.
Exactly. You don't want to get to that point. That's why I'm going to stand on this hill for Traylon. Because, again, he's not in a position to do it, nor do I want him to go in there and cause a fuss. He doesn't need to do that. But he does need to, hey, coach, what do I need to do to get the ball more? What do I need? What packages what can I do to get the ball more? Yeah, you're going to throw it to me in practice. Happens all the time. But when we get in the game, why am I not getting? Is there something I need to be doing?
You bring up injury, the fact that Traylon's been on and off the field. And I do think there's a good bit of truth to that, because he hasn't gotten the opportunity to build a lot of rapport with Will Levis. The only thing that I could say to that is, though, what about Kyle Phillips? Kyle Phillips has been on and off the field. Kyle Phillips has been injured.
And y'all managed to get him the ball when he's playing.
That was the Atlanta game? He had 2 or 3 big catches against Tampa Bay. He got a good bit of looks. Now, it's not like Kyle Phillips is racking up 100-plus receiving yard games week after week after week. But it does feel like when Kyle Phillips is back out on the field, I notice him. I don't notice Traylon Burks. I forget about Traylon Burks.
And that's what you don't want to happen. That's what you try to avoid. Is, allowing people to forget that you're even on the field, from at least from your team standpoint. Defenses, they know you're on the field. Hell, there's 11 of y'all. They got to cover you. But as an offense, you don't want to forget about a guy. Like, he don't even think about it. And there were some times on his video that I thought the ball should have possibly went to Traylon Burks, and they didn't. Again, Rob Moore, as the receiver coach, he has a hard job, because he has to massage this and tell his young kid it's going to be okay. You're going to it will come around. Just be patient. But how long is a guy supposed to be patient in a business that rewards people for production?
How long would you be patient?
Oh, I'd have said something already. But that's my personality. Because in the world of football, I came from nothing. In the world of football, I came from nothing. I battled my way up. In high school, I wasn't a guy. I had to battle my way up. In college, I had to battle my way up. In the NFL, I had to battle my way up. So when you come at me like that, it's like, no. And I've told, I know where I was before. I don't want to go back there, so that's why my attitude is what it is today. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to stop being who I am as a player, because who I am as a player has put me in this position. Traylon has to find a way to get his message out in a way that doesn't cause any confusion or any, animosity or anything in the locker room. But he has to find out a way to, sort of let me tell you that I'm unhappy without really telling you I'm unhappy. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do it 100%. But I just don't feel like I'm a part of what y'all are doing, what we are doing. That's real talk. Like, Vrabel should understand, of all people.
Yeah.
Rob Moore understands, I'm sure. Players just want to help teams win. That's what they want to do. And in the process of helping teams win, you get rewarded for it somehow, some way. Traylon, I'm sure there's not a day after a game that he doesn't go home and he's just like, damn. Do I need to do more? Did I play good? Did I play bad? What's the deal? And that's not a good place to be in as a player. Again, this is a reward-based sport. If you're not even giving me an opportunity, now I know I got to do my part, but if you're not even giving me an opportunity, how then would I be rewarded? You know? That's the way I look at it.
And it's a team sport, yeah, but you have to look out for yourself.
Exactly.
You are the one that gets
Head coaches look
incentivized.
out for themselves. Why you think he fired Ackerman? He was looking out for himself and the coaching staff. Why did he fire Ackerman? Because Ackerman wasn't doing his job.
Got to do something.
Exactly. So allow this young man to at least be a part. Allow him to make the decision for you. Don't make the decision for him.
Let's get into some of your thoughts on it. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Titans Jones is on the line, has been waiting very patiently. What's up, Titans Jones?
Man, boy, I almost took a nap.
Why?
You hear me?
What'd you say?
Man, I'm sitting there like, boy, you be sitting on the side of the other phone like, man, okay, it's been 20 minutes now, but I
Well,
understand.
you now have your opportunity. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, man, on behalf of the Rated R Titan fans fan page, we want to thank you for talking about Traylon Burks because we keep saying, a lot of people say, he's a bust, and we keep saying he's not getting the opportunity. Like, you're not throwing him the ball. And it's to the point that you got to say, man, do our head coach like him? Is he still mad about the A.J. Brown trade? Is he trying to make John Robinson look like he really – like, you got to get this man the ball, man. And another thing I want to talk about is that you remember last year when he caught the ball and he was supposed to go out of bounds and he tried to stay in bounds? You remember the little slide thing he did on the sideline because he didn't get the ball the entire game, and I think it was like 8 seconds left, and it was just weird. But, like, I just want to say, man, we need to get this man the ball, and we can't blame him for what he's not doing if he ain't getting the opportunity. But can you guys hang up because my phone broke?
All right, thank you. Thank you for the
your
call. Appreciate it.
My first thought, if that is the case, Vrabel said, hey, it was J-Rob's pick. I'm still mad about the A.J. Brown trade. Mike Vrabel deserves to be fired. Because if you were actively hurting the football team because you still have some personal vendetta about a trade that was made 2 years ago, you don't deserve to be a head football coach in this league.
Well,
I would like
there are some.
I would like to
believe me.
think that Vrabel's
I'm not
smarter
saying
than
Vrabel's
that.
like that, but there are coaches that are like that.
I would like to think that Mike Vrabel is smarter than that. Maybe he's not. Maybe that is the case. I think that's stupid.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to sit here and assume that that's how Vrabel feel, but I know, hey, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Coaches have their favorites. Coaches have guys they want to draft and guys they don't want to draft, and they end up getting drafted because somebody else wanted to draft them. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I would love to believe that because Vrabel played the game, he understands he understands that part. Like, listen, yeah, I didn't want to trade AJ. We traded him. Maybe I really didn't want to get AJ, but Traylon. But we got him. But he's here, so I'm fine with it. He's here as long as he's doing the things that we're asking him to do. Long as he progresses as a player and he can make plays for us, that's all I really care about. So I believe that's where Vrabel is at. But there are coaches that, what the caller said, what you said, there are coaches that may operate in that fashion.
And I don't think that's the way that Mike Vrabel feels because Mike Vrabel says no one person is bigger than the team. Mike Vrabel is then making himself bigger than the team if that's the decision that he's wanting to make. And if Mike Vrabel looks at it like, look, Traylon wasn't my guy, I didn't really want him here, trade him. Move on from him.
Exactly.
Go find someone that can help this football team because DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to be on this team forever. DeAndre Hopkins has one more year left on his deal. I would like it if the Titans are doing what we think that they should do, and that is prepare for the future, invest into your young quarterback and Will Levis. You're gonna have to find him some receivers to throw to, not named DeAndre Hopkins. Nick Westbrook-Akine and Chris Moore cannot be your answers for the long term. You're not going to win very many games that way. You have to find a young receiving core for Will Levis, and if that's not Traylon Burks, that's fine. Move on. Find someone who is.
But you got to you have to see if indeed he is that guy. Because again, allow him to make the decision for you. Get him involved in the game, and if he doesn't produce, then you say, okay, not after one game, but it has to be, the remainder of the season. It's like, okay, we're going to see what this kid can do.
Or can't do.
Or can't do. But you rave about him, about the things he's doing, and and then you don't involve him in the game. That's the part I'm trying to understand, but I don't think I will understand it because I've seen it. I've been a part of it. Hell, I was that guy before when it was like, just give me an opportunity and I'll show you what I can do. When I have been on the field, I've been good, pretty good. Give me the opportunity. And great. If I can't, okay, you got to move on. And I will stop talking about Traylon Burks. If he proves to me that he can't get the job after you have, involved him, like truly involved him in the game plan, then okay, I'm like, hey, I called for it. He didn't do it. I'm backing off.
You at least know what you have.
Exactly. But I'm going to continue to fight for this young man. I am, because no one else in this city just about everybody he's a bust. He ain't no damn bust. How do you figure that? He's not a bust. He's made some plays. He's dropped some. He's been injured. Things he has no control over. It's not like he's been hamstrings and stuff like that. But give the kid an opportunity to prove either he can or can't play for your team.
Let's get into your phones on this coming up next. Hey, make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play Hose and Gasket, Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Happy hump day to everybody out there. Yeah, it is Wednesday, right? Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I need to tell you about our partners, Zen Sports. And I'm excited to tell you that they've launched their new introductory promotion available to all new customers in Tennessee. The No Danger First Wager, okay? When you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to a $1,000 No Danger First Wager when you place your first bets on Zen Sports. You will be reimbursed for the amount of your bet if it loses up to $1,000. Plus, Zen Sports has launched a new VIP program for the premier bettors of Tennessee. If you think you might qualify, then listen up. Hey, listen, everybody loves a VIP. By invite only, people, so you can't just jump in all willy-nilly and come up and I'm VIP. No, it's by invite only. So if you feel that your Zen Sports play qualifies for the VIP consideration, please check out the program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 top-tier customer support and bigger and better action than Zen Sports. So what are you waiting for, people? Get going and download their app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports betting just got better. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
but I'm talking about a downtown threat, which the Titans haven't had in forever. And I use a guy like Olave with the Saints. If Levis had a guy like that, would you be confident that his deep ball would be a legitimate weapon, or do you think there's still a little bit of hesitance there with that?
I've got no worries at all right now that he can continue to develop as a deep ball passer. And the reason is the way he's developed from college to now in the nuance that he's able to get into his throws. In college, when things started to break down, man, he would default to his fastball. It would be laser. And that's okay when it's appropriate. But there are times when you need to do what he did in this game, which is loft the ball up high and allow the receiver to adjust to it, to loft the ball a little bit high, but not too much, to layer it over linebackers in the underneath zone, but drop it into a receiver before the safety can get there. So it can't be too high. And he has shown his ability to nuance his throws based on the needs of the route combined with the coverage against that route. And he's doing that as a rookie. And he's not just getting lucky once in a while. He's doing it over and over and over again. Because of that, I have no questions whatsoever about his ability to translate his arm talent into being an effective thrower.
That was Trevor Maddich on Jared's show yesterday. He said, yeah, absolutely Will Levis has the arm and the deep ball ability. He's got to get him a receiver to catch the deep ball. Why can't that be Treylon Burks? And if it's not, fine, move on from him. But I want to see if he's got it, because this team's got a whole lot of needs in the upcoming draft and not a lot of draft picks. If Treylon Burks can be that deep ball guy, then maybe receiver isn't as high on your list of needs in this upcoming draft, and you can use the few draft picks you have to fix the offensive line, to find yourself some corners. I want to see if Treylon Burks can do it or not.
I think everybody wants to see. It's just been, over the last year and a half for him, it hasn't been ideal for him. He didn't walk into an ideal situation, and it's not ideal for him this season. I would just like to see them, make an effort to get him the ball. And don't tell me you can't do it. I don't want to hear that. That's a lie. It's a complete lie. It's farce. You can. You can do it if you want, okay? We're not asking you to go out completely outside of what you're doing and, no. But you know how to, if you don't know how to get people open, you shouldn't be a coordinator in this league. You shouldn't. I don't know how to get people open. That's why I'm not a coordinator in this league, okay? But I believe that Tim Kelly is a damn good coordinator. So get him open. And if you're head coach, he needs to be an advocate for this receiver too, unless he just don't give a damn. But Rob Moore, again, I'm going to go back to Rob Moore. Rob Moore has to be an advocate for Treylon. He does. He has to be an advocate to the offensive coordinator in a way where it's not combative or anything else, but it's, hey, listen, I'm in the room with this young guy all the time, and we need to get him involved in the game. He's working hard. He's doing the things that we're asking him. We need to get him involved because right now I know we got D-Hop. D-Hop is going to get his, But right now this young man isn't involved in the offense, and I want to see if he makes our team better if he is involved. Not damn clear out routes. No, not blocking for a screenplay. You don't pay him to block. You didn't draft him in the first round because I guarantee you there was a bunch of other receivers that were better blockers than him that were drafted in the 5th or 6th round. You didn't wait to the 5th or 6th round to go get him, did he? No, you got him in the first round. So you didn't pay him for blocking. Blocking is a want to. And you wanted to do it for your guy that's running a football. That's what it is. But you're paid to catch football and score touchdowns.
He's drafted to replace AJ.
Exactly.
AJ didn't block. Well, he blocked, but not at the...
But Vrabel didn't say nothing
role.
about his blocking when he catching passes.
Yeah.
That's why he said that about Julio Jones, because Julio Jones wasn't catching passes. So he didn't like it, so he ain't blocking.
Yeah, we brought in Julio Jones, future Hall of Famer, to block.
It's like, dude, seriously, miss me with that. Seriously, miss me. And that doesn't mean that I don't think Vrabel's a good coach. I think he's a good coach. But even in that, you got to realize that, okay, once I turn on the film Sunday night after the game, or because coach, they come back and some coaches go right back in the film room and they're watching. And I'm sure Vrabel's that type of guy. After the game, especially if it's at home, we're watching, or on a plane, I'm watching the game to see. You got to watch the film and think like, we got to find a way to get this kid the ball. And it's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's not. So don't make people think that it is hard to find a way to get him the ball. Traylon Burks can catch 100 balls a year if they wanted him to. He could. That's just the way it is. That's the way the league is. If you can catch the football, I can find a way to get you 100 catches. I can. Now, it depends on the quarterback, too. I get that. But I can find a way to get you 100 balls or damn near close to it. Why can't you find a way to game plan to get him the ball, like a serious game plan to get him the ball?
And here's the difficult thing, is it's a catch-22 between, well, I need more targets versus, well, I need you to catch the football more. I won't give you more targets until you catch the football more. Well, how am I supposed to catch the football if I don't get targeted more? Because Traylon Burks has dropped a lot of balls this season.
Yeah, he has dropped. I don't think he dropped a lot this season. I think it was last season. Was it last season? I think he's dropped maybe 3 balls this season.
He had a couple drops early in the season. He had that big catch against the Chargers. I can pull up his stats. But he has had limited touches. And in those limited touches, and limited targets rather, he's dropped a lot of balls. So it's tough. Tim Kelly's put in a tough position of, well, I need you to catch the football. Okay, well, Traylon Burks can say, well, I need to get the football. And I understand the idea of, you need to catch the football more. But, I mean, Traylon Burks is getting a near comical lack of targets. He was targeted twice against the Dolphins. That's not enough. And the Titans are at a point in the season now.
Yeah, twice. The long pass.
And then the screen.
Yeah.
The Titans are at a point right now where you need to figure out what you have in him. And you're not going to figure out what you have in him if you don't give him the football.
Yeah, you're going to have to, Traylon he doesn't even lead the team in drops. He has 3 drops. Chig leads the team, obviously, with 5. Chris Moore and D-Hop are tied with 4. So I'm not buying that anymore. I'm not buying it. And I'm not buying it. I'm a fault myself for starting the narrative that he drops the ball. That's on me. He doesn't drop the ball. Based upon the numbers, he doesn't drop the ball. He just doesn't get targeted enough. It's not like he doesn't drop the ball no more than any other top receiver in the league. He doesn't, So I'm not going to use that excuse for him. Now, has he had some drops?
Yeah.
Yes, he's had some drops. But it's not like he's dropped. Like, this ain't the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? He ain't Kadarius Toney and that bunch of slippery hand guys.
Yeah, that ragtag of Butterfingers.
Exactly. That Butterfinger group. He ain't them, okay? Give this guy an opportunity. Give it to him. He deserves it. Give it to him. He's out there. You said he's out there working hard, right? He's running around. He's doing everything. Well, if that is indeed the case, reward him. That's all I'm asking. I'm sure that's all he wants too. But again, this is where Rob Moore has to be, and I'm sure he is. This is where Rob Moore has to be the advocate for Traylon. Like, listen, we gotta find a way to make sure he's involved in this game plan as well.
I want to get into your phones on this, and we'll get to your phones coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, Preds fans, do not miss tonight's Smashville live show at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs at 6 p.m. You can see your Predators star players up close and personal, get autographs and pictures. This week's special guests are Cole Smith and Tommy Novak. Smashville Live is brought to you by the Black Abbey Brewing Company.
Men, listen up. I need to tell you about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife Daphne, along with that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. And men, we need it as we get older. You know, if we're not taking care of ourselves, our quality of life goes down. So that's where Cool Springs MD jump in. All right? Their services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, including yours truly, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Men, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. So store the number in your phone. Here it is, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at theGameNashville.com or the 1025 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. D-Mase and I are just talking Traylon Burks because Paul Kaharski asked Mike Vrabel at his press conference today, hey, you know, what's what's up with Traylon Burks? Because a majority of the routes that he's running, if not close to 99% of the routes he's running are just decoy routes. Vrabel said, oh, well, we got him the slant.
He said the screen.
A screen. Excuse me. We got him the screen.
Damn sure they don't throw him a slant. And
we got him the screen.
Big body guy.
So the one screen he got, one. And then, of course, he got targeted on the deep ball and kind of a 50-50 ball where he's absolutely covered up. But my thing is, Traylon Burks might not be the guy. But I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
How do you know that if he doesn't get his touches?
Well, you're not going to truly know whether a guy can be a playmaker in this league or not unless you give him opportunities to make plays for you, especially in Traylon's situation. He was your first-round pick. He's replacing, one of the best receivers you've ever had. So why not? It's like, why not try to get him involved? Like, because he got these things stacked against him. Let's sort of see what we got here, Let's watch him flourish so he doesn't have to be compared to the other guy. If he flourishes, then nobody's talking about the other guy anymore. But people are going to continue to talk about AJ. Why? Because, well, he's been injured. Traylon's been injured some. But he's not getting the opportunities that would allow people to stop talking about AJ Brown.
Right. I want to get into some of your phones on this, your thoughts on Traylon Burks. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. One texter texts in, says maybe Levis is the one who doesn't trust Burks. I brought that up yesterday. I thought, okay, I can't throw the coaching staff or the offensive coordinator on the bus. Maybe it's a Traylon Burks thing. Maybe Traylon Burks just isn't getting open. Maybe it's a Will Levis thing. Because the only game that they had together, it was the Atlanta game and then the Pittsburgh game where Traylon Burks left the game early with a concussion. So they haven't gotten a ton of work together. Maybe that's just the trust hasn't quite built up there yet. But if it's a Levis thing, then that's on Tim Kelly to help facilitate that relationship. And two, the routes that Traylon and Burks are running, it's not designed for him to get the ball.
Why does his targets always have to be down the field with these tough contested throws? Why? Why you can't find him something a little bit easier to get his hands on and allow him to be the receiver that, if you believe he's that receiver, then give him a shallow cross, give him a cross route, give him a slant, let him get the ball in his hands, and then see what he can do.
Why do you think they're not doing that?
That's the $1 million question. It's like, I don't know. It could be the offensive coordinator is just so he's so comfortable with D-Hop, and rightfully so, that it's like, okay, I mean, I know I can get it to him. He's gonna catch. He's gonna do what he needs to do. He's gonna make a play. I know D-Hop is D-Hop. He's gonna do his thing. But I do believe that Tim Kelly does have to, maybe he and Tim Kelly need to sit down and just talk, go through, I've done it with coaches, go through, routes and go through the play and whatnot, and make him understand, okay, this is what him and the quarterback, this is what we're thinking. Okay, this is why you didn't get the ball, Traylon. We're gonna change some things up and design some things. Why you can't do that? Oh, Traylon, what do you like? You should get. What do you like?
Well,
okay.
How can I help you?
Because coaches do that. Again, I'm not only telling you from experience.
I mean, I'm sure Tim Kelly sat down with Will Levis when Levis took over
like, what
for Ryan
plays you like?
What do you like?
What don't you like? What we need to stay away from? D-Hop, I'm sure D-Hop. What do you? Y'all two get on the same page. Y'all two get. Why can't you do that with Traylon? Why can't you involve him in what you're doing as an offense, just to see if he is the guy or is he not the guy?
And if he's not, fine. Move on from him and find the guy who is.
If he's not, then I will stop running my mouth about Traylon Burks. But until then, until y'all start to consistently try to get him the ball, again, I'm not asking that you owe it to your fans. Hell, you owe it to your owner. You drafted him. First round, you owe it to your owner.
You didn't just draft him. You traded away A.J. Brown to
and
draft
she
him.
was in the room when it said Traylon Burks our first round pick. You owe it to your owner to say, yeah, we need to make sure this young kid gets involved in the game. Okay, let's see if we can find out if he truly can be that guy. I don't want every catch to be a 50-50, catch, like highly contested catch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you may make some of them, but more likely you're going to drop. You're going to not come up with more than you come up with them. Is that his fault? No. You're put me in a position to succeed. Coach, that's your job. It is. To know your players and put them in a position to succeed and help the team. You're not putting him in a position to succeed. At least from my standpoint. I'm watching it. I'm looking at it, all 22, and it's just like, where is he? Mm-hmm. I don't know where he is.
So many times I've said that. Oh, Traylon Burks. Forgot about him. Kristen Dixon Texan says, unfortunately for Burks, having 3 drops on 11 targets isn't good. Most likely
20 targets.
Most likely the coaches have little confidence in him and have already decided that he will not be in the future plans.
Well, what about Chigakonkwo that's dropped 5 passes?
Chigakonkwo also is a drop machine,
exactly.
Or was a drop machine, and he got plenty of targets against Miami.
So I can, you want to give me that, I can give you, and I like Chig. Y'all know, like, this is what I wanted from Chig. Like, you can be that tight end. Well, if he's dropped 5 balls and you still going at him, why can't you don't give me that, he's only dropped 3 balls. D-Hop's dropped 4.
And it feels like more because he's been out and hasn't been targeted as much. So the percentage of targets to drops feels so much higher.
And you're going to have drop passes. Uh-huh. You're just the greatest. Again, D-Hop, one of the greatest receivers to ever lace him up. Behind Chris Carter and Larry Fitzgerald, he's the best catcher of the football I have ever seen. Even he dropped passes.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. You give him the ball. Yeah, you damn right you better give him the ball. Why can't, I don't want to hear that, he dropped passes. He's only dropped 3 of them, okay?
We have a texter in our personal text line. The suit Texan.
Oh, the suit.
Says, Derek, they've tried. He can't make the big plays. He drops the ball and can't stay healthy. He and Chig both suck. The difference is Chig is the only other tight end option.
Again, I go back to this. Why does every play has to be a 50-50 ball? Why? Why does every time I run down the field, it has to be a 50-50 ball? Why is it that you only target me 20 times up until this point? I played 7 games. You've only targeted me 20 times. Mm-hmm. I've caught, 11, 12, 13 of them, and I've dropped 3 of them, okay? Again, I know receivers that have dropped more passes than he has catches, and they still target those guys. This guy has immense talent, and I know talent could be potential could be a bad thing because it can get you fired. Because you hold on to a guy long enough.
Potential is.
Exactly.
French for not good enough.
Absolutely. So you've seen it. Mm-hmm. Like you've literally seen him do those things. Why can't you go back to him? This guy's not a bust. He's not a bad player. He's a good teammate. He's working hard. You said that, Vrabel. He's doing everything that you're asking him to do. Help reward him. Give him the ball. Run some shallow crosses. I can tell you what to get him open. Run some shallow crosses. Run some of those pick plays. You know that pick play that got Nick Westbrook-Akine open for that 2-pointer? Mm-hmm. Run that for Traylon Burks. See, I can point out all these little differences when people start coming at me. Why you can't do that for Traylon? I've been there, seen it, done it.
Unless there's something we don't know.
Unless there's something we do not know.
And we will continue to get into that. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman and Company is up next.
Be love and love on your people. Peace. Love you, Frankie.